This is exclusive updates, and so I've done a lot of videos on the subject of individualism and what really is life. And so I came to the conclusion that there is a possibility we're living in the mind of God. And so as I started coming to this understanding after deep analysis and deep thought and brainstorming, I started coming across others talking about this more and more. And so at once I thought this was my personal hypothesis, but after coming to that conclusion, like I said, there's others that started talking out about this that I came across, and I found out it's a pretty common thing. So I made a video a while ago where I called it, "Are we living in the mind of God?" And that's where I break down how I came to this conclusion. I came to the conclusion by basically realizing that nothing cannot exist. And in that nothingness, there must have been a moment where it wasn't really a moment, but it was more like an eternal moment where consciousness must have said something like, I am aware that I exist, but what is this? You know, there would be nothing around but this thought. And from there came everything else, where it's almost like a dream, where if you dream, you can dream yourself into a world. In that world, people exist and things exist. You can interact with objects and items, but you're really dreaming. So along those lines, I was thinking that is what reality could be, is something kind of similar. It wouldn't have to be exactly the same as a dream, but something kind of like that. And so basically the whole world would be a mind. All the objects, you know, even the Bible says God created everything by speaking it. So speaking it's kind of like a thought. So it's kind of saying that, hey, everything came into existence. Let there be this, let there be that. So with that thought, that's where I kind of got this whole idea, this whole concept. But now I'm coming across more and more people talking about it. I guess it's a whole thing that's been around for a while. I had no idea this when I first came to this conclusion. That's what kind of surprised me a little bit, is when I started hearing more and more people talking about the same concept. So I'm going to play a clip for you in a moment where you're going to hear this person kind of expand on this thought and describe basically the same thing. And so this individual is saying that he came to the conclusion that we're all part of this one mind. And like I said, hey, this is all just kind of a brainstorm, a thought experiment, if you will. It's not necessarily something where you have to say, hey, this is what reality is, you know, but there could be something to it more or less. So it's kind of fun to explore these ideas and thoughts. So this individual is saying we're all part of one mind, and what if no one really exists? Now that's a very interesting way to put it. Like, we're all just kind of part of this mind, and we think we exist. We're all part of this world, but what really are we? And also it'll have you conclude that, hey, look how you treat others as well. And that's another quote from the scriptures, is treat others as you would yourself, right? Isn't that in there somewhere? So that kind of makes more sense now when you think about it like this. There's also a place in the scriptures where I think it says, like, just as you treated others, you have treated me. So this will make more sense now if you're thinking about it like that, where, hey, what if we are all one, basically? What if there is no difference between anyone? We're all just kind of part of this thing. And that would mean individualism doesn't actually exist. We're all just kind of going about our day-to-day lives and not understanding what really this life could actually be. I would be you and you would be me, in a way. We all would be each other. So humanity would be one thing. So let's get into this from his point of view.
But the new theory is that this consciousness is external to our body.
What does that mean?
Like, our brains act as a receiver and a filter for consciousness, and not a creator of consciousness. So that hypothetically, maybe is something that just pops that filter off and allows us to experience full consciousness. And then if the all is mind, so if everything in my dream is made up of me, and we just copy paste that up to this level, we're all maybe part of one mind, and there aren't any people. It's just a mind. So like the distance between us doesn't exist. It's just like a dream, except we're sharing a dream up here. And that's I think that's a part of that new consciousness theory. I don't subscribe to any one of them in particular.
You haven't got to believe any of this stuff. Because it's hard you're never going to know for sure. But even hearing it makes me feel a lot more empathetic for my fellow being.
Yeah.
Because it makes me you. It makes your enemy you. It makes your friend you. It makes the person you love, hate, whatever. It makes all of them you. And none of us would, I think we treat ourselves much better sometimes than we would treat someone 1,000 miles away in a different country with a different color skin.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about this conversation. And actually, every time I bring myself back to this point about consciousness being one, it does make me more empathetic to things.
It does. And it's not because you're a moral person. Like you don't have to have morals anymore. So if I see you as me, I'm just protecting myself.
Yeah.
Like it's just a natural.
In the same way I would with my children.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the morality doesn't need to exist anymore. It's just the right thing.
And so he basically broke it down in his own way. This is very interesting to me because I had these same thoughts myself. Like I said, I thought it was my own thoughts. I thought it was basically something that I arrived at on my own. And then it turns out this is a very popular subject for a lot of people. A lot of people seem to be coming to this conclusion. And when I did it, I basically was meditating on it. It started off where I spent my whole life being a believer in God. And I was at a point one day where I was like, okay, let me just throw everything I've been taught away just for a moment. It was kind of hard to do because it felt wrong. And I was like, okay, because if I'm going to actually analyze this, I need to be non-biased. You know, I can't have any point of view on the subject. If I'm going to actually get to the bottom of this, I decided. So it felt kind of wrong, but I just kind of threw out everything I've been taught about everything. And I sat there in stillness and in darkness. I closed my eyes and I just thought, what would this be like? How could have things happened? How could have life began? How could have everything began? And when I closed my eyes in that darkness, that's where I started figuring out stuff. And I was like, okay, yeah, so that's kind of how it would feel to be like just in darkness, but you're alive and aware and conscious. And it made me feel like, okay, so could this be kind of similar to how maybe the beginning of time was? And I took it from there. It was a moment where I just felt like I was connecting all the dots on my own. I felt a connection to the Most High as well as I was brainstorming. And the conclusion I came up with was everything could have came out of this moment of self-aware consciousness because of the paradox of reality. The paradox being that nothingness cannot exist, because if you're existing in nothingness and you're actually aware that you're in nothingness, then what is going on there? That's a paradox of reality, which would be the spark of consciousness and the spark of the beginning of time, which is really an infinite moment. It'd be better described as an infinite moment of time rather than a beginning, because at that moment it's a paradox where you're aware that you exist, but you're nothing. So you're nothingness that exists. And that's where the dilemma comes in, to where your consciousness would understand, hey, you know, I do exist, but yet there's nothing. At that point, it would all start from there. And so there's still a lot of questions unanswered, you know, like what really is life? Because this is more complex than a dream. We can all give us that, right? Like, we know this is like something to where, okay, we go to sleep at night and then you wake up and then you lose a little bit of time while you're sleeping, but you're lying down in your bed, and then you regain consciousness and you're back in this real world. But while you were sleeping, you might have been in another world. So it's like, the thing is, this world that we're in right now seems very real, to the point where you can feel pain, happiness, all the emotions, and it's a continuance where that's not so much the case in a dream. It's not always going to pick up where you left off. There's continuation in this real world where it's canon, and you wake up, you pick up from where you left off before you went to sleep, and you can continue, and you grow, you're getting older, you know, so there's a continuation here. It's a very real place at the same time. So there's more going on here, definitely. We all feel real. We all feel individual, but when it comes down to it, it's still something to think about. We won't be able to figure out all the answers or figure out exactly how everything is working, but there's something to it, I feel. There's something to the information. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm gonna leave a link if you wanna check out my other videos related to this subject. I've done several videos like this. You'll probably find them interesting. So link will be in the comment section and description box. I'm also gonna leave links to my social media and other things like that. Make sure you like the video. Let's get over 100 likes on this video. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Exclusive Update, signing off. Check out the Path to Success. Link is in the comment section and description box if you want to learn ways to be successful at anything you might be working on.